Today I'm going to be defeating the final boss from the Legends of Eidolon with a brand new account, but I am not allowed to idle at all. However, that alone is too boring. On top of that, I cannot press the auto button either. Every single enemy that I kill must be defeated actively. Now, for those unfamiliar with Eidolon, the game is an online MMORPG that acts like if MapleStory and mobile idle games had the perfect baby to create this game. However, the game is designed to encourage defeating enemies when the player is either AFK or semi-AFK, meaning that we are going to have to murder hundreds of these cute little monsters in cold blood right in front of our eyes, actively knowing that we caused this massacre. Anyways, we're going to have to set a few ground rules. First off, I cannot press the auto button to fight enemies. Second, if I have to AFK, I must go back to town to do so. Third, I cannot gain the help of gathering materials and such from a second character. Fourth, my main character cannot die. And lastly, I am allowed to mine and grab lumber while working on the activities related to this challenge or working on the creation of this video. And now, let the challenge begin. So, first we'll need to create a new account. We'll be creating a new account through the browser since it's a lot easier than creating one through Steam or through a mobile platform. So after we fail to create a proper username several times, we'll quickly grab a quest from the NPC Scriptus. Now every world in this game has one NPC that acts as a guide for each world and gives out quests relevant to the world. So naturally, Scriptus will help us during this challenge, right? For our first quest, we set out to ruin the lives of 5 green mushrooms by beating them to death. Thankfully, due to a recent update, there's now WASD controls. This will make active killing a lot easier. Previously, the only way to move around was by clicking around, but with the introduction of keyboard controls, we can fight enemies manually. After our murder spree, we have gone ahead to craft some boxing gloves to, soften the blow on our victims. We go out to grab some logs in this quick minigame, equip a bandana, chop more logs, and then kill enough green mushrooms to unlock the next map where we have to now murder green frogs. Unfortunately, this is where things already took a turn for the worst. It seems that someone somehow already notified the frogs of my incoming murder spree because the second I entered the room, the frogs were already out for my blood. I was able to escape with a single health left, but I wasn't safe yet. Immediately after leaving the area with the frogs, green mushrooms surrounded me, waiting to get their revenge against me. Was this it? Was I already going to die after 14 minutes of gameplay? There was no time to think. The only way to get out of this was more murder. As they lined up to wait for their turn to murder me, I was surrounded by another green mushroom behind me. Carefully after killing every single green mushroom in front of me, I was finally able to escape. At last, I was able to restore my health, but then I noticed something. Using the WASD controls, for some reason I wasn't properly able to move around Scriptus. Sure, we can easily pass it off as a small glitch since these controls are relatively new to the game, but maybe something else was afoot. Anyways, after dealing with near death and dealing with some janky controls, I completed another quest from Scriptus, did some mining, killed some more mushrooms to grab their child's spore cats and use their body parts to create a nice little app. After a quick fashion session, we spoke with Scriptus again, and then a window appeared that came from the creator of this game, Lava Flame 2. Now, if you've noticed something, he's been watching us this whole entire time. He's typically there to guide new players to the game, but now he's actively forcing us to create a new character which will ruin our run since we can't receive the help from another character. Wait, is Lava out to stop my run on purpose? Maybe was he the one who commanded the frogs to wait right in front of the frog room entrance to end my run early on? I couldn't think about that right now. First I had to deal with the situation in front of me. Wait, hold on, but the third rule that we established earlier stated that we couldn't gain materials from another character. However, it never said that we couldn't simply create them and then just abandon them in the sewers. Perfect, loophole. I proceeded to create a throwaway character that abandoned him for the rest of eternity. Unfortunately, Lava was not happy with this outcome. Every time we would come back into town, Lava would tempt us to use our second character to gain more resources idling, but we wouldn't fall for it. Now at this point, my gear has been slightly upgraded. We had some fancier gear and we also created a poking stick to stab into the heart of our enemies. Now that we had enough defense, we got our revenge on some frogs and used the blood during the sacrificial ritual that I'm too lazy to animate here, and then we opened up the next map. Here now lived an area of peaceful green board beans. They were noticeably tankier and they were harder to hit. But thanks to our gear, they still did no damage to us, which means we could safely kill them. Hey, at least for them, after murdering a ton of them and their family members, maybe the survivors won't be bored anymore. Anyways, we farmed more frogs to level up, grabbed some more lumber, enacted a more revenge against the frogs, and then decided to grab some better gear. We decided to grab more copper for gear. Typically, most people would go AFK and either play on their second character or they go AFK and turn off the game. But we can't do that. We have to grab all these resources live. Well, live if you count me eventually falling asleep in my chair while actively mining for about 17 minutes. I mean, that didn't happen. Anyways, a sudden burst of energy after totally not falling asleep inspired me to finally get our first class. So in Eidolon, there are 3 different standard classes. warriors, mages, and archers. Since this challenge is just in the early game, I didn't want to deal with mana issues, so we immediately crossed out mages as an option. As for archers, they have some nice movement speed buff, but their health and mana were both an issue, so we crossed that option out as well. Finally, that left us with the warrior class. Now, warriors have a nice bonus where their weapons can passively attack multiple enemies. Plus, their defense is extremely nice, and it may prevent us from dying. Their lack of mana is an issue, but their multi-enemy hit passive should make up for it. So finally with that, we robbed more board beans of their EXP, gave a picnic basket, some ketchup and mustard packets and charged them 25 cents for each packet, and then we leveled up to level 10, which means we could finally become a warrior. After we got the warrior class, I terribly distributed my skill points, murdered some more beans, threw away some gross blue candy, who needs that, and then we went back into town. I was beginning to get used to the new WASD controls, but unfortunately a button to pick up items was still missing, which meant that I had to pick up items using my mouse, so I had to switch back between my mouse, my keyboard, then my mouse and keyboard, which was a pain to do, but it is what it is. Wait, what is that? Auto loot? Oh, that's funny. The footage suddenly cut out and a glitch occurred where I suddenly have this fancy magic hat and I have auto loot turned on. Oh man, Lava, you gotta fix your game, make sure these glitches stop happening. No, Mom, I totally did not waste money on a throwaway account that I won't be using after this challenge. Only an idiot would do that. Anyways, we murdered more beans, organized my inventory for a bit, and got a nice copper helmet, and then we began to chop down more lumber. Remember how I said that I could mine and grab lumber as long as I was actively working on activities that related to the challenge or this video? Well, I wanted some more Eidolon related music for this video, so I decided to remix the World 1 Blunder Hills theme, which was originally composed by either the EDM musician Spencer Brown or a video game composer named Sophia Laxon. Now, I'm not sure which one of these two wrote this song, but regardless, there was a lot of passion that went into this song. If you don't know, this game was highly inspired by MapleStory, so the first town theme actually borrows a lot from the theme of the popular town in MapleStory, Hennessy's. The Blunder Hills theme actually uses the same chord progression as the main melody as the Hennessy's theme, and carries a similar melody and style while still being in a slightly different genre. The attention to detail is actually quite beautiful. Anyways, after replicating the song out in FL Studio, I decided to add some elements from the Hennessy's themes throughout the remix. After several hours of music making and skilling, I finally geared up to take on the next map, Slimes. Now in this map, there's a new NPC named Stiltzcho, who seems to be quite helpful. His quest relates to actively killing slimes, and his other quests also encourage our progression. After 45 minutes of active murder, I noticed that Lava, who's been trying to sabotage this realm, actually recommended me to complete the quest from Stiltzcho. Wait, was Stiltzcho actually on my side, or was I being tricked? In fact, anyone who's played this game knows that Stiltzcho actually gives us a new quest at level 30 where it involves forcing our characters to AFK in certain maps to complete the quest. No, after all this time, Stiltzcho too was against us from the start. So far, Lava Flame, who's been playing God during this run, Scriptus, and Stiltzcho are trying to sabotage our run. Were there any other NPCs that we weren't aware of that's trying to betray us? By now, we've made a lot of progress in World 1, which meant that our damage was heavily being outskilled by enemies' HP. So I decided that it was time to grind against beans for a little while, and I did so barehanded so that we could get an achievement. Achievements are important in this game since they will unlock recipes for later on. After we grinded for about 2 hours, we mined some iron, I polished the Blunder Hills remix a little more, and then we actually made another remix for the boss fight. After doing that, it's time to finally fight the boss of World 1, Amarok. Now, the entrance to the boss was in this room, but in order to fight Amarok, you need boss keys. Then, in order to get the boss keys, you need to complete this ghost quest, who would then give you daily keys for the boss. However, his quest involved farming for some bones from these woad boards. Not only are the bones rare, but the woad board's HP is more than 10 times in the slimes that we previously fought. We spent about 25 minutes beating some wood for some more bones, and then finally, it was time to face the final boss of this challenge. Now, typically Amarok isn't challenging, however we're only level 23, which is considered to be pretty under level for this boss. I was only able to hit Amarok about a third of the time due to my low wisdom stat. Another obstacle was to overcome Amarok's healing totem, which rapidly heals Amarok if it's not destroyed. If that totem is up for too long, Amarok could easily undo a ton of our progress, so it's important that we saved our mana solely for the totem itself. Now, luckily our own health wasn't too much of an issue since we were a warrior, it was just a matter of dealing more damage than Amarok could heal. With this strategy in mind, it was time to face off Amarok. The fight begins relatively simple. We hit, we dodge, and we take out any totems that Amarok sends out. For this battle, we get to choose either to attack Amarok from the top platform or the bottom platform. Relatively speaking, the bottom platform is typically the best choice since on the top platform, Amarok has an uppercut attack that gives little time to react to. However, on the bottom platform, there's plenty of time to react to his attacks. There's not much else to this fight, so I'm just gonna speed up the footage. And with that, we successfully defeated Amarok and thus have completed the challenge. Today, we proved that just because you're playing an idle game where the developer and his NPCs lackeys force you to idle and AFK does not mean you have to idle or AFK at all. And to celebrate, let's check out the achievements that I got during this run. Wait, what's this? Why is there progress on my AFK bar? When did I AFK? Wait, there was one time where I changed tabs just for a little bit. Wait, are you saying that counted for AFK time? Are you freaking serious?